and go.
Hello, I'm just putting together a quick tutorial on the equipment that we will be using in the Paddle Arch Strength program. We'll be using a mat for the later part of the program when we're doing floor exercises, and we'll be using a chair throughout the program for balance aid, for lower back support, and also just to sit in for different exercises. So those are important to have. And we also have a variety of handheld weights. So if you have your own that you have purchased, that's great. If you don't, which I don't, then you can do some modifications. For example, using a variety of sizes of filled water bottles. So the small water bottles are helpful if you're doing exercises with small muscles such as the back of the shoulder. One example would be an external shoulder rotation. You might want no weights or very small weights for that, so you can have small bottles. Another weight size could be a medium weight size, which would be for slightly larger muscles, such as the deltoids, so you can do lateral raises. And then you may want a heavier exercise for bigger muscles in the back, such as the rhomboids when you're doing one arm pulls, or for some of the leg exercises. Or you may find that you want more than just one of these. You're feeling stronger and ready for more. You can tie together more than one. I've used an old inner tube. It's quite comfortable to hold it at the knot, so you can use that as an option as well. However, it could be more comfortable to hold it that way, so you can use a doweling or your paddle to make a more comfortable handle, so you can hold it more comfortably and do the same thing. So that's an option. And with this way of doing things, you can add additional weights as well by adding more onto the doweling if you want more. We also have a bag of rice. I put it into a plastic bag because the burlap is a bit scratchy, and that can be used as an option if you don't have water bottles or if you want extra options for softer weights. And then towards the end of the program, we have the paddle simulations, and there's also the full class that's the paddle simulation interval, so I'm going to talk now about options for that. So if you don't have a band of any kind, you can still use the weight to do this exercise, and we can just do one arm pulls with a lighter exercise, lighter weight and more repetitions. So that's an option if you don't have a band of any kind. Having a band will be a little more similar to paddling. If you don't have anything to attach the band to, then you just use your foot. So you can sit at the edge of your chair and use your foot to pull with the band. The purpose of the paddle simulation intervals is to work on the energy systems in the muscles that we use for paddling. So we may not have perfect paddling technique, but we'll be using similar muscles to paddling, so we'll still be increasing our fitness for paddling. So you can see that this isn't perfect paddling technique. I should have my arm straight for longer. I should be hinging, but that doesn't work with the band because then the tension isn't quite right. That's okay, because we're doing it more for the fitness of paddling rather than the perfect technique for paddling. So that's one option. If you really like the idea of using your paddle to do this, then you can find ways to use your paddle. For example, if you have a door handle, you can wrap the band around a door handle and then tie it in a knot and put your paddle on the band, through the band. Now, there are some advantages and disadvantages to this. If you're sitting down, it's not the proper height. You can't do the proper technique because you'll hit the ground. So you'd still have to do the modified stroke. It's not proper technique that you would be using for this. So keep that in mind. You'd have to sit on a higher chair if you wanted to have better technique, and that's not always possible with the equipment that you might have at home. Another option would be to not use the chair, to use this setup and to stand up. So you could do a lunge position or 2-foot position, and then you can get more of the hinge and rotation and still have the paddle being used. So that, so far, it feels like the best simulation to me, standing and using the paddle. Now, if you have other equipment, you can use other equipment. For example, I have this device that I purchased from a fitness store. Sorry, I'm just getting organized. And I find this can be nice because I can also sit down and do this because the dowel is shorter. I can grip it, and it doesn't have the actual blade, so I can go lower and it feels a little bit more like paddling. Sorry, I have to move back a bit more. But you get the idea. I can keep my arm straighter for longer and get in more rotation. So that works well because it's a shorter doweling without the blade. You can also make your own using a different type of doweling. That would be too short, but you can get one that's a bit shorter than your paddle and attach the band closer to the end so there's not a blade getting in the way, and you can have a better technique. So a variety of options. Different options have different resistances. There are pros and cons to all of them, and you'll just adjust your stroke rate and technique to the option that you have available to you, and that's great. All of the options are good for our purpose for the program. Okay, so if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll see you in class.